I want to give a message for people who are just starting out as healers, because we have a lot of young people who are following us too, Sandra, which you know as well. And I'll never forget, there in the Four Winds, they teach us illumination process, right? And I had mine, like you've talked about, we've joked about this, where you got your notes and you're going to do it step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And there's nothing wrong with like cutting an onion, the prescribed way that the chef taught you. But I'll never forget, my work was to practice between classes. And I had somebody over on the floor, and literally they sat up and told me I was doing it wrong. They're like, well, go mind your own healing. I mean, get up off my floor. And, and we still, this person will wind up the room with crystals that you can feel 3 blocks away. One time when Florida Maya was here, she said, could you call her up and tell her to stop winding up those crystals? Like, I was like, and I just kind of show up. The wind brings me in, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be more mindful of my ceremonies. Because Sandra pointed out I can be a little windy and I come in like rushed. And I realized I'm kind of windy that way. I think for me, it's the opposite. There's a lot of people build up to that ceremony. And I do the fire ceremony over the solstice to bring me down. Because I can wind myself up enough for the year, and then I need it to by the first, when I give the closing, I'm like right there.
Right. Yeah. Well, the sad thing is I think a lot of the practitioners I train really dislike me, because their clients come in for soul retrievals, and they'll actually take out my book and they'll say, but Sandra does it like this. You're doing it wrong. This is how so they treat it like a Bible and they compare it. And I try to explain to them in my workshops that my clients do the same thing to me. I will never forget, ever forget. We're going back 20 years and I won't forget this. A client sitting next from me and saying, but on page 78 of your book, you said, and, I appreciate it. I've had amazing client sessions, and my healing practice has been something I'm the most proud of the people who I've been able to help, and the kinds of people and the suffering and what they sacrifice to work with me. And I'm not talking financial, and how hard they worked. It's what I'm the most proud of. But, we have to tell these funny stories, and we also have to tell these stories, because what's happening, and we've talked about this before, is shamanic practitioners are becoming like a factory. And there's a danger, there's a shadow side in that, because shamans are a vessel of their helping spirits. They're only a vessel of their helping spirits. They never make a decision. They don't make a decision that the green yarn goes on first on your prayer stick, or what Sandra Ingerman said on page 78. They don't know what Sandra Ingerman said on page 78. They see the client from the divine realms. And from the divine realms, they're telling you what to do to heal the client. And we're referring back to other teachers. That's the point of this. The point of this is shamanism is direct revelation and a spirit-driven system. And teachers are wonderful. Renee and I love to teach. But what all we can do is open the door so that you have your unique relationship with your helping spirits.
Absolutely. I always say, spirit does not need a shaman to do the healing, or any other person for that matter. You hear about people who have a spontaneous awakening. Nobody's there in the room with them. No one. I think sometimes as a shaman that, the clearer I can have as a vessel, that I'm a better witness, that I'm a more clear mirror for you to look in at yourself and say, oh, or shine that light. It's really an interesting perspective. And, like I don't see energy like a lot of people see energy. And one time we had this group circle at my old healing center, and I was, we all were going around doing our illumination or whatever we were practicing. And this one guy said, oh my God, you should see the energy that comes out of your hands. And I'm there like, oh, really? It's like, I don't see that. And so, but I do see people's lives change. I got a really great email from a couple who are now married with a couple years with a baby who loves his wind whistle. To me, that's where the proof is like, where you go from like serial one night stands to married with a family with a child who loves their wind whistle. That's the healing.
Right.
That's the gift of this. So if you think you're not doing it right, then that's the attitude you need to work on is what is my special gift? What is my special message here? And if it feels different than what the teacher told you, I'd go with what the spirit told me.